Hello and welcome to The Explainer. We're jumping right in today because we're setting out on a truly fascinating visual journey to deconstruct a masterpiece. Our goal here, we're going to take a single, densely packed string of text and literally dissect it. We want to see exactly how a few carefully chosen words act as this flawless architectural blueprint, building a completely photorealistic reality right before our very eyes. We'll be looking at how human language translates directly into visual data, peeling it back, layer by fascinating layer. Okay, let's dive into this. I just want you to take a moment and let these words wash over you. A breathtaking tropical dragon fruit farm at sunrise. Endless rows of cactus plants covered with vibrant pink dragon fruits. Golden sunlight shining through palm trees. Morning mist. Birds flying across the sky. Cinematic drone shot. Ultra-realistic, photorealistic, HDR, highly detailed 8K. Wow, right? I mean, this isn't just a sentence. This is the ultimate blueprint. It's a masterclass in descriptive engineering. And over the course of this explainer today, we are going to peel this text apart, word by word, command by command, to see exactly how it orchestrates the creation of a stunning visual masterpiece.
Part 1. The core scene. Let's peel back that very first layer.
So, to really understand how this image is built, we have to start at the absolute foundation. Before we can even think about adding cool lighting or a camera or, any technical rendering specs, we first have to establish the raw, physical subject matter of our canvas. We literally have to build the world itself. Take the phrase, breathtaking tropical dragon fruit farm. Notice the really deliberate, slow pacing here. We're setting up a massive macro landscape. We aren't just standing in some random field. We are in a lush, tropical environment. We aren't just looking at a farm. We're establishing a sprawling agricultural canvas. These words give our scene its physical boundaries and its overarching geographic identity. It's essentially laying down the broad strokes of paint on a blank canvas, setting the fundamental stage for everything that's about to follow.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the very next phrase instantly alters that broad landscape. Endless rows of cactus plants. We've suddenly moved from a general tropical farm to something that is highly specific and incredibly organized. This phrase injects a profound sense of geometric infinity and structure into the mix. All of a sudden, that sprawling canvas has vanishing points, right? It has perspective. The word endless forces the visual to stretch all the way out to the horizon, creating this really powerful sense of depth and scale. While the word rows gives us a repeating, rhythmic pattern that naturally draws your eye backward.
And then, boom, we zoom right in. Covered with vibrant pink dragon fruits. We shift instantly from that massive macro structure of endless rows down to a super intense micro focus. And I gotta say, the specific addition of vibrant pink is an absolute masterstroke here. Against all the assumed greens and earth tones you'd expect on a tropical farm, this creates a sudden visceral burst of color right in your mind's eye. It commands contrast. It basically demands that your attention is immediately arrested by these vivid, organic shapes that are just punctuating the geometric rows of the cacti.
Moving on to part 2. Environmental atmosphere.
Because here's the thing, a beautiful landscape is just a static, lifeless model until you introduce this second layer. A static scene needs atmosphere to give it a soul, to give it a mood, and a real sense of living reality. So the crucial point here is how this brilliant sequence of descriptors introduces completely transient, fleeting elements to our permanent landscape. At sunrise sets a definitive time, which inherently dictates the angle and the temperature of the light. Golden sunlight shining through palm trees commands a very specific interaction between light and object, giving us those dappled shadows and a feeling of warmth. Then, morning mist adds actual volume and density to the air itself, naturally scattering that golden light and creating atmospheric perspective. And finally, birds flying across the sky. That introduces motion and life. Together, the time, lighting, weather, and motion, they breathe actual life into the farm. They transform it from just a mere location into a very specific, captured moment in time.
Part 3. The cinematic lens. Let's talk about the observer.
Okay, now that we have a living, breathing world, we encounter a pretty dramatic shift in the text instructions. We are bringing in an invisible observer. We're fundamentally changing our relationship with the environment we just built by defining exactly how we are looking at it. And this brilliantly illustrates the tension and the magic in our blueprint. Think about it. On one side, we have these lush, organic elements, right? The palm trees, the morning mist, the flying birds. But on the other side, the text introduces a highly technical, sweeping, completely artificial mechanism used to frame it all, a cinematic drone shot. This specific command completely changes the framing. It physically lifts us off the ground. It demands this sweeping, elevated perspective, giving us a majestic, floating vantage point that just glides over those endless rows of cactus plants. It takes a beautiful, natural scene and intentionally frames it with a very deliberate, human-directed cinematic intent.
Which brings us to part 4, technical realism. Let's pick up the pace here.
Finally, we reach the absolute bedrock of the blueprint. We've got the subject, we've got the atmosphere, we've got the camera. Now we have to dictate the final output quality. The first technical command here is ultra-realistic. And listen, this isn't just a stylistic preference, it is a rigid boundary. This term establishes the absolute baseline expectation for the image. It tells the visual generation process to immediately discard any inclination towards stylization, cartoonishness, or abstract interpretation. No way. It demands a hard pivot toward absolute physical fidelity, ensuring that the rough textures of the cactus skin and the gritty soil are completely grounded in reality.
But actually, ultra-realistic isn't quite enough on its own, which is exactly why the text immediately follows up with photorealistic. Now, you might be thinking those are the exact same thing, but they are crucially different. While ultra-realistic dictates the physical textures of the world itself, photorealistic specifically commands the scene to look as though it was captured by an actual physical camera lens. It introduces optical phenomena into the mix, things like depth of field, lens flare from that golden sunlight, and the very specific way a physical camera sensor captures light. It basically turns a digital rendering into a simulated photograph.
Next up, we have HDR, or High Dynamic Range. Let's connect this technical jargon directly back to what we talked about earlier. Remember the golden sunlight and the morning mist? Well, without HDR, the brilliant intensity of that sun would just wash out the sky into pure white, or the shadows hiding under those dense cactus rows would crush into pure, featureless black. HDR is the specific technical command that is absolutely necessary to render that complex lighting scenario perfectly. It maximizes the contrast while preserving every single tiny detail in both the brightest light and the deepest shadow.
And for the grand finale of our blueprint, highly detailed 8K. This is where we demand absolute, uncompromising clarity. An 8K resolution is just massive, measuring roughly 8,000 pixels across. This final command ensures microscopic precision. It guarantees that when you zoom in on those vibrant pink dragon fruits we were savoring earlier, you aren't going to see any pixelation. You will literally see the tiny organic scales of the fruit. You will see the individual droplets of morning mist. It is a demand for absolute perfection on a microscopic scale.
So what does this all mean? How can a mere 44 carefully chosen words engineer such a visceral, breathtaking reality in our minds? I really want to leave you with that thought today. Think about what we just unpacked. We started with a totally blank slate, and through a highly structured, layered sequence of descriptive text, we built a physical landscape, we breathed life into it with weather and light, we framed it from the sky, and we rendered it with flawless optical perfection. It's like a giant puzzle coming together seamlessly. It is a stunning testament to the immense power of structured, descriptive language in visual storytelling and art generation. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this structured dive changes the way you look at the words you read and the images you see. Until next time, keep exploring and keep asking how things are built.